I have I came out and told you guys this. I don't know, it's probably like a couple of months ago. It was the middle of the summer, but that I felt that the A&M game was the biggest game of the year for us on the schedule, and I stand by it. This is the game that either sets us on a course to go 5-0 to start the season, or doesn't.
Or doesn't, or sets us on a course to go 4-1.
And listen, well, exactly, but it could be 4-1. It could be, who knows? Who knows? I say this is the biggest game of the year. So I said after last week's game that I wasn't feeling any less optimistic, and then watched A&M play, and I'm still feeling optimistic. I'll be honest. I only have one question mark for this game, guys.
Mm-hmm.
How do we hold up on the outside against these receivers?
That's my one question mark as well.
I mean, that's it. I don't,
because we're gonna stop the run, and I think we're gonna stop the run. Can we match up on the outside, and are we going to use safeties to help, which then obviously doesn't help in the box for stopping the run? I don't know. I watched them. I'm not saying that I didn't have doubts on my pick, that I picked us to win. Still don't know. I watched Evans have 3 touchdowns quickly, and the other dude on the outside is better than him. So,
I mean, their attack's going to be led by Connor Wegman, and obviously he's got some studs that he can go ahead and deliver the ball to. Yes, and I think we're just off the backs of, we really weren't tested by Miami of Ohio. We didn't really see them take shots. They had a couple successful at the end of the game, and it was like the best passes and catches, And if that's
the second one was a catch, by the way.
Yeah, and if that's the level what you're going to need, and they're highly contested 50-50 balls, then that's how games like this should go. It's going to always be about 50-50 balls, and can you win your 50-50 balls? They're going to get tested. We know that. They're going to get, Bobby Petrino's going to test you. He's going to test you vertically. So to me, Toast, and I'm going to throw it back to what seemed to be relatively a strength for us. To me, you want to protect and preserve your back end, get after it in the front end. If Miami can generate pressure, if they can make Connor Wegman antsy in the pantsy, then we have a shot. And then we're going to protect those corners because they're they haven't been tested. They're relatively unknown, and we'll get after it. We'll see, but I think it starts up front. I would
like to repeat something that you said, because I can't ever forget this. I have to repeat it, so it's in here forever. To protect your back end, you have to get after it with the front end.
Okay. Yeah.
I had to repeat that out loud.
All right.
Because that's literally what you said.
You could post that motto in block letters in a prison shower stall.
100%.
I'm tweeting this out on X right now. I'm tweeting this out on X right now. To bang.
Bang, bang.
Protect
now, I
your
will
back end.
You need. Now I'm confused. What did I? You need to get after it. Yeah.
You need to get after the front end.
You need to get after it with your front end.
God. So
don't drop the soap. All right.
I'll say this. And everyone's saying, well, boy, A&M didn't, they looked better than they did last year. With all due respect, we had the tougher opponent last week.
True.
Like, New Mexico State fucking sucks, dude. Like, Miami, Ohio is legitimately one of the favorites to win the MAC, and we all know MAC football isn't a slouch. We've seen the Thursday night terrors going on for ages.
Thursday night MAC overs.
Exactly. But we also certainly know that Miami of Ohio is on paper, significantly better squad coming off of last year than New Mexico State was. So
correct.
So in my mind, I mean, that didn't really play into me that they were playing a crappy opponent, because we had a better opponent. And here's my key for is we talk about the wide receivers. I think it's going to be very important that we're able to dictate when Bobby Petrino is able to call plays, i.e. we need to be able to control time of possession with our running game. And this is going to be an opportunity. Like the better our run game is going, the less time that offense is on the field and the less time Bobby's calling plays.
Last year when we went to Kyle Field, whatever they do with that little overalls, hey, whatever. Whatever.
Just don't do it. Don't do it.
It's so cringe. I don't think I've seen anything that cringe in the last decade of my life. I can't turn away.
Yes.
I can't turn away when I see him. When I see that clip come on again, I don't want to look, and then I just look, and I'm like, "What is that?" Like, I can't turn away. But 175 yards on the ground. That was. Remember we were saying, "Oh, we're gonna be able to run on everybody." We turned around and lost to Middle Tennessee State. But we were able to run on the ground for 175 yards in a hostile environment. And I think we're improved. The one thing, and I did student of the game, and we're closing in about 10,000 views over there on YouTube. Thanks a lot. That's awesome. I will tell you this. My takeaway, again, watching that offensive line for us is pretty damn good. Like they did things I haven't seen in a long time. And you want to temper expectations in your enthusiasm. But when I watch that, I'm like, damn, first play of the game. One guy was bodied 4 yards. Let the bodies hit the floor. They were all over the floor. It was Inez Cooper's like 360.
Sorry.
He's a full day's worth of a year of body weight, and he's just coming across like a freight train, and he just leveled this dude. Like, they come at you in ways. Francis Mauigoa, he's phenomenal as well. I think they're going to rely on their strength. If we can run it all, and if we have a successful run game like we did against Miami of Ohio, then I think we do what you want, Toast, and that is limit Bobby Petrino's opportunity to go deep. Limit his shock plays. Let them work for it.
Yeah. I two things that I want to bring up because they're top of mind. Number one, the Miami of Ohio coach saying basically they were all at the infirmary because they got their asses kicked for 60 minutes. Now, we haven't heard, and we're talking anything even remotely close to that about being physically dominated and hurting from it from anyone in years and years and years. Like that was like, wow, interesting. Okay. So then it brings me to my second point. Would you be okay with a similar type rushing attack? Say we put up 200, 225, 250. It's a low scoring game and we win. Are you okay with that? Or is that not, damn it, I thought we were getting something different again?
For me, see, that's two different things. So I'm totally fine with that. Here's my thing. We are in a progression here. I think Mario's been on the record saying it was like a 3 to 4 year project that he's working on. And I think when you're early in and you're in those early stages of learning how to win and start climbing that hill, the one thing, listen, I understand it's all about throwing the football and everything in 2023, and that's what you're going to have to do if you want to make the college football playoff and all that. That's fine. But that's not what you have to do if you want to have a shot at finishing second in the ACC and making the ACC championship game. If you can run through and you can overpower teams with a running attack in conference play, and against A&M as well, then you can absolutely have a damn successful season. That's why I went to 9 wins. I am betting everything on our ability to consistently run the ball at will against every opponent on the schedule outside of the 3 I mentioned, which now may be down to 2.
Yeah, we'll get there. I want to transition it. I think if you can run the ball successfully more times than not, every single time, no, more times than not, if you can do it in that fashion, you're going to be able to have some one-on-one matchups on the outside. They're going to give you opportunities for shot plays. And that's where I feel like if we're going to get to your prediction of 9 wins, Toast, that's what's going to happen. We have to consistently be able to run the ball throughout the course of the year, consistently, right? And at the times when we're not dominant in the run game, that means the pass game opened up and we had some big chunk plays because we have some playmakers, and that's how we have to win. Because I go back to the 01 Dorsey game. Like, we could run on anybody. We ran on everybody. And I remember thinking that year, I was like, Dorsey's going to have to win us a game here and there because they're going to sell out to take away the run. Middle Tennessee came in last year beating us because they sold out to take away the run. And we couldn't adapt. So I agree with you, Toast, but I think it's going to be a little bit more multifaceted, and Tyler's going to have some big plays. Wide receivers are going to have to make some big plays in the pass game. We didn't have that last week. We didn't need it. And can I take a second?
We've been talking about 15% and the people getting mad about it.
Yeah. And I'll segue right over to you, Scoopy.
By the way, that has a lot of views on it.
Yeah, it does. Yes, it does.
So, but it's refreshing. I can't begin to tell you, for an offensive coordinator to come in here, have a play sheet, know that he wanted to take shots, and I'll validate it, right? I'll validate it from my perspective. I always said if I was I'm older now. If I'm advising my son to go to a high school and we're watching this offense, that's how I'm going to say it. I'm a dad advising my son. Let's look at this offense. I appreciate what Dawson did because I'm like, listen, son, you might have wanted to take shots in this game, but look at the coverage that they're giving you. These guys are 20 yards off the ball. We're not going to run. Just run it right down their throats. And for him to come out, like we said it before his press conference. But then when he comes out in his press conference and he validates what we're saying previous on the recap show, and now we're listening to it live, I was like, I was in my house clapping. I was like, this is the best. This guy has no ego. He knew, just take what the defense gives you. Yes, this is my play sheet, and I just threw it out because these guys weren't allowing me to do it. And I think that speaks volumes game one because too much stubborn ego. But one of the best pieces of advice in Scoop, best piece of advice, the death of every coaching room is ego, always. And I remember that. I want to talk about Jimbo because I don't know if you caught this.
Awesome. The only guy he didn't name by name was X.
But he didn't know who he was.
He called him seven,
and he was
the only guy
good.
he didn't name by name. He knew everybody on the team.
He knew it was the most impressive opposing coach press conference. He knew that he was the number one safety in the country. They got an All-American. They got Leonard Taylor. He's a stud. They got Tyler. He was a Heisman talk candidate 2 years ago. Yeah, Dean's their thing. Come very stout against the run. XR7's good. They got that guy Jacoby. He's great. I was like, holy shit, dude! This guy's better than us. Cool. He was better than us. I was like, we covered this team incessantly. Jimbo Fisher came in there and schooled us. I was like, damn, he knows more things than I do.
It was pretty awesome.
It was.
He's showing his player personnel chops. So after he gets fired after this year, he's got a gig at ESPN in a heartbeat or Fox or somewhere.
As long as he can slow down a little bit.
So let me ask you this.
He talks a little quick for TV, I think.
Yeah, he will have to slow it down, but I think they have pills for that. But let me ask you this. So one of the knocks, and there weren't many, but one of the knocks you could literally give Miami last week was third downs on offense, only 3 for 7. A&M also was only 3 for 7 on third down. Who wins that battle this week? Was that concerning for either of you? I mean, that was a big thing last year. We sucked on third down.
40%.
I'm not concerned because a lot of those third downs that we put ourselves in were self-inflicted because of the false starts. I think we get a higher percentage if we can clean up some of the false starts we had. We had some procedural things. Now, behind the curtain, talked to a couple people. They were like doing that funky, like they need to outlaw it. I mentioned it. Defense starts yelling, "Go Hut!" Starts trying to steal your cadence. They need to crack down on that, and it should be illegal. I know there's gamesmanship that's allowed, right? If I can get your hand signals from the sideline and I steal your signals, I can do it, but I can't use like high-tech espionage to do it. And in that case, though, it's not gamesmanship. It's literally like you're playing saboteur at that point. So they had some false starts that needed to be cleaned up because of the defensive line on the other side were just chirping.
It's kind of like blowing a whistle in the stands.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
It's kind
of great
that,
analogy.
Yeah.
Like, shut up. Just like, don't be just shut up. Just keep your mouth closed on the defense. If it's organic, if you're talking about to your guy and trying to do something, but that it was poor chess. And I think that problem goes away. I still want to see now. Here's a good challenge because I want to see how we hold up on third downs defensively, because I said we praise Guidry for his third down effort defensively because we kicked ass. They only had 2 first downs all day versus us.
Yeah, Guidry and his game plan against, what's that dude's name? What's the quarterback?
Gabbert?
No, the A&M guy.
Oh, it's
Connor
Wegman.
Wegman. Yeah. So Guidry's game plan, fuck me, against Connor Wegman.
Best.
I mean, I don't know why I even tried to say this together. Is pretty key, right? What's he going to dial up to confuse his kid? Because he knows that we said in the onset, right? Their outside dudes are big, they're talented, they're going to win more 50-50 balls than they lose. So how are we going to change the picture, as our buddy Dan Orlovsky says? How are we going to change the picture for him post snap, right? To really kind of mess with his day. I think that's an important factor for sure.
I mean, listen, you look at the numbers and Ro, to your point, A&M's defense only allowed New Mexico 3 for 13 on third downs, but they only averaged 4.6 a carry against New Mexico State. We went up against a much better rush defense and averaged 6.9. Like, I mean, listen, I understand that Texas A&M looked better than they were last year. That's not difficult. So did we. We're both 5 and 7. Not difficult to look better when you have that many 4 and 5-star recruits on the roster. So I'll be honest, man. I wasn't overly impressed. Nothing that I saw from them was like, oh, damn, we got to watch out. It was just, I'm only talking about the cornerbacks because Miami, Ohio didn't test them.
Right. So do we have a better running game than they do? Do we believe that we have a better rushing attack with our stable of 4 and this O-line than A&M does?
I believe we do. Absolutely.
Okay.
I believe we do.
Bobby
Petrino's
calling card over the years has been his passing game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Passing attack. So I'm concerning. I just remember with Randy Shannon going up to Louisville and getting absolutely boat raced on their home field, and Bobby Petrino was there, and they were just running wide receivers downfield all day long, and we were powerless to stop them. So that's the last Bobby Petrino versus Miami memory that I have, and it's not a good one. So to me, it's going to come down. Can the University of Miami, like we talked about before, can we limit their passing attack? Can we keep them maybe a couple yards less than what they just averaged against New Mexico State and limit the chunk plays? It sounds like I'm inferring bend but don't breaky, but we can't have a situation like we've against North Carolina last year either, where we're giving up all these big chunk plays. Just can't do it. We have to play sound. I think we can, from what I saw in the student of the game review. Guidry seems to be a guy that understands his back end, right? He understands how to preserve it. He understands not to kind of be the liability that Manny Diaz kind of always insisted these guys. Yeah, he's going to put them on islands. He's expecting them to do their job, but I still think there's some soundness there week 1. And typically you see your biggest jump from week 1 to week 2. We need this team to jump up and get big because we're playing big boy football. Now, I will say this, the pundits are going to pick Texas A&M, right? Who we're going to pick.
Oh, yeah, they are. Oh, yeah, no, they're picking them, yeah.
They're a 5-7 team. We're a 5-7 team. They improved. We improved. I can promise you this. If the conference patches were on opposite sides of the jersey, they'd be picking Miami to win the game. Don't fall for the bullshit. It is the most propagandized conference in the world. They took massive L's this week. Massive L's this week. Oh, Florida's going to kick Utah's ass, right? Yeah, how did that work out? They took massive L's. South Carolina lost to North Carolina. I know for a fact, SEC patch on our jersey, ACC on them. They're picking us, and we're pounding their chest. We're pounding our chest now, and everybody, all the pundits are pounding our chest because we're an SEC team, and we're back, baby. We're back.
So their 2 wide receivers, 2 of their 3 wide receivers had accounted for 5 touchdowns. So one of them was Noah Thomas. That's a dude. He's 6'6".
Yeah.
Who do you put on the 6'6" dude? The other guy is only 6 feet. Who do you put?
You put Couch on top of Porter in the trench coat.
Well done.
I like it. AI, yeah, it's a good solution.
They had last week, man.
I don't have a better one.
I mean, the Browns are relatively taller. I mean, we're trying to get taller and more length and stuff like that at the position. But that's one thing when I love you, Couch, but he's a smaller Couch. He's more like a love seat. He's like a chair. Like, we're really big and physical, and it shows out there. Nickel corners can be smaller. He's a love seat. So yeah, I mean, it's a tough sell for him, especially if they're gonna mismatch, try to get some motion so they can isolate them, because you can do it. I mean, you there's ways to kind of get some people off some people, and if they're trying to get a size advantage, especially inside the red zone, that's something you got to pay attention.
Yeah, they're going to certainly bring, and Jaden Davis did start on the outside last week.
Yes, he did.
So, and I think he had the most plays of any corner. I thought he'd be more inside with nickel, but he played outside. So is he the guy?
I believe he is
going up against this dude. And then
I believe he's number 1 right now.
Okay, then you got to have somebody that's got to cover Evans.
Yeah.
Who had 3 touchdowns.
Yes.
So
no, Thomas had 3 touchdowns. Stewart only had 2. Only 2.
Yeah. So, I mean,